Somebody, one person, just give me some English. Everybody else is going to follow along in your Latin. So somebody find some English because we're supposed to read 333 to 383. So the next 50 lines in English. I don't care. Somebody do it now.
Make sure to lock it when
You what?
Yeah, I just had it on Mr.
Yeah, no, we have it.
Sorry. So what did you do? What's in 333 to 383 then?
I'll lock it.
He was talking to the guy who fell off the
Yeah,
boat.
and his name was? Palinurus, right. So he had all the business about Palinurus. He sees Palinurus, right? How'd you get here?
Find somebody.
Fell off the boat.
And
I was dragged to this island.
you guys didn't
They
bury
were
me.
talking about like the waves and how we grabbed onto the oar and the rocks, and these people came and they were like, "We're native to this land. Kill you."
Awesome. Awesome. I love it.
So did the natives kill him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yes.
He was at the.
He got all the way.
Poor schmuck fell off, washed ashore, and then gets killed.
Oh,
Yeah.
and they didn't bury it.
They didn't bury
He was talking
it.
about how he was like grabbing onto the rocks and whatnot, and he was like
That's
taken
it.
away.
Well said. Okay, super duper. Then we continue. We pick it up at 384. Ergo, right? So what a great way to transition. Therefore, iter inceptum per fluvioque propinquant. Therefore, they, and of course, who's the they?
The truth.
Well, who all is traveling together? Aeneas. The ferryman, the seer, and the Cates. Therefore, they iter inceptum per augment. I'd love to hear that translated literally.
Beginning road.
No. Per augment is really the dead opposite of start.
They completed.
Yeah, they complete. Now this is worth bringing up again. We talked about this back in first year. Per as a preposition means what? Through. When compounded onto a verb, the connotation is what?
Finish.
Through all the way to the end. Okay? So that's why we said back in first year you could get every question wrong on the exam and still say that you did perfect on it, as long as you've answered every question. Because literally you have done it all the way through to the end. Now you may have done it absolutely wrong, but as long as you completed the test, you can always go home and tell your parents you did perfect, all the way through to the end. So per ago, they do all the way through, so they complete the iter inceptum,
The journey begun.
the begun iter,
The begun journey.
the begun journey, the journey. Now let's go ahead and smooth that out. I feel a need to touch on participles, folks. So let's have a little review of participles, shall we? Participles do not show pure time, right? Participles show time relative to the main verb. So, a present participle shows what kind of time relative to the main verb? Remember this?
Oh yeah. So. Oh my gosh.
The action of a participle happens when? With respect to the time of the main verb.
Is it
But
just right?
Right before, right?
No,
At the same time?
there it is. Okay. Present participles show same time as main verb. Now that you see how that's going to go, a perfect participle shows what?
Just after.
Not after,
Before.
just before. Okay? Is before main verb. And of course, future participle would then be what?
Just after.
After main verb. Okay? Okay. So let's take an example here. I'm going to take it right out of the Latin. Iter inceptum per agunt. I'm going to leave some space. I'm going to rewrite it. Iter inceptum per egerunt. Okay? This is the first one, of course, is virgin. What tense is agunt, per agunt?
Perfect.
In May? Present. Now, what kind of participle is inceptum? Perfect. I've got a perfect participle but I've got a present tense main verb. Okay? So, the perfect is happening before the main. They complete the having been begun journey, or smooth that out into a clause, maybe give me a which in there, Cooper.
They complete the journey which had been begun.
Which has been begun.
Gotcha.
Which has been begun. Now listen to that very carefully, which has been begun. Because notice how I'm going to change it. Next sentence, obviously it's still a perfect participle, but now I change the verb to per a gerund. What tense is that? That's a perfect.
Perfect.
However, according to what we just said, perfect participle has to show time before the main verb. What's the only time before perfect? Pluperfect.
That's what I just said.
Now it would be they
Had.
They completed
The journey.
the
has
journey
been had.
which had been begun.
Right. Right.
So, the beginning of a journey and the completion of it, now this is a really good example to show it, because obviously you begin something before you complete it,
Yeah.
right? And so the question is, I've got these two actions, and where in the timeline are the two actions? The two actions are always in the same relationship to each other. He says, where are they along the overall timeline with you and me? Okay? They are right now completing, we're all in the same time present tense, a journey which has been begun. Or this whole story is thrown into our past. They completed a journey which had been begun. Does everybody see that? So when you're translating participles, and again, a good question I could see on AP, or I would do as an AP question, I would throw that out there even as a multiple choice. I'd say, what's the best translation for iter and kepton? And I would have just a spot translation. And I would have A, to begin a journey, B, the journey which had been begun, C, the journey which has been begun, and D, beginning a journey. And so hopefully people would rule out the to begin, because that's an infinitive, and that just doesn't make any sense at all. And obviously I'm really trying to see, do they really grasp how participles work in relationship to the main verb? We all okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So they complete the journey that's been begun, and they propinquant the fluvio.
And
They approach the river.
They approach the river. I gotta ask for Joel McKenzie. I'm sorry, Joel, I hate to interrupt you there, but you're a second year student, are you not?
Yeah.
Did you not just learn the other day in second year in Caesar? Did Ms. Kaczynski not just talk to you about certain kinds of verbs that take not the accusative for a direct object, but take a different case? You
Yeah.
had it with persuasit.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
You don't remember the case. Thank you for nothing. I was holding you up as an example.
Terrible.
Sterling example, and you let me down. That's okay.
That's their own fault for
That's,
choosing me.
was that?
That's their own fault for choosing
That's
me.
my own fault for choosing you. Okay, well, there it is.
Look at him.
Fluvio is a dative. Dative with a compound. Apropinquo. Literally to approach to. The op, AP, is really odd. So when you have a compound verb, you very often have a dative near it. They approach to the river. We in English would just say they approach the river.
I thought that was, okay.
No.
Oh, there's no odd in there. Oh, well, screw it. It's just employed. All right.
So David.
It's still a dative.
I was like,
Yeah.
wait.
You always got to approach to something. Well, that just,
Confusing.
I got the fuzzy end of that lollipop. All right.
Yeah.
Novita quosiam inde ut stigia prospexit ab unda. Per tacitum nemus ire pedem quad vertera ripa. Sic prior egretur dictis atquin increpat ultra. Now we got the Novita again.
Very nice.
We got that ferryman. Quos iam inde ut stigia prospexit ab unda. Yeah. As he is prospexit from the stigia unda.
As he looks out.
Yeah, as he looked out from the Stygian, what's Stygian mean? Related to the Styx. As he looked out from the Stygian flood, or the Stygian wave, at those quos who were ire per tacitum nemos,
Whom are ready.
those who are ire, going through the tacitum nemos,
Going through silence.
grove, and ad vertera pedem ripai.
Spec starts at 7, right? And it goes for an hour.
Turn toward.
He ad greditor.
He
He addresses them. Now, we got some funky grammar here. It is funky, but it does make sense when you think about Latin. All right, so we got navita. He's our subject. Now, in all this mess, where is the main verb that goes with navita?
See.
No,
Meaning that.
it's is it
It's the ad greditor.
Oh.
He addresses. Okay. Now, literally, odd plus. Do turn it down.
Yes, I know.
Odd plus gradior means to step. It's where we get your word grade or gradation or gradual. Right? It's to step. So odd plus gradior gives you aggredior. It's the root of aggression. So literally, to step towards somebody, there's the sense of attacking or aggression. But it can also have the sense of addressing somebody, so stepping up to them to speak to them. And that's the sense we have here. All right, so he's going to speak to somebody, he's going to address somebody. All right? Now, when is it that he addresses them? He addresses them, and the is a when or an as here, because I noticed that prospexit is what mood?
It's subjunctive.
Minimum.
No,
It's an indicative. So it can't be a so that. We do not have a purpose clause here. Remember, with an indicative can mean things like when or as. You can be using an exclamatory to mean how, stuff like this. As he prospects it, okay? As he saw, and we know where he is. He saw from the Stygia Unda. All right, so he's out there. He's in the boat. He's looking out from the Stygian waters. Well, he looked out at what? Now, what you've got is an implied eos quotes. He looked out at those who were going, blah, 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 and were turning, blah, blah, blah. Right? Those who were going, what does it say? There's a second grove, per tacitum, nemos, and those who were turning their pedem, ripai, those who were turning their foot to the shore. Well, we don't care about any of that, so the question is, what's going on with this accusative into infinitus? Okay? When you think accusative and infinitive, you think what?
that.
The best
no,
paraphrastic.
you think indirect statement.
Indirect statement. It's not really an indirect statement, okay? Because remember we said indirect statement needs to be introduced by some kind of a mental faculty verb. I saw that you were cheating. We heard that he had won the race or whatever, okay? Now he is simply looking out at something, all right? Now if he were looking out at a tree, what case would tree be in? Accusative. Why?
Because
It's a direct object. This whole big honking thing is a direct object.
Oh.
What did he look out at?
Oh.
He looked out at people who were going. Now, the thing is, since I've got an accusative here, and I've still got to have them doing something, okay, in this clause, these people, while in some ways they're a direct object of his vision, yet they're doing something. That's why I've got the infinitives here, because anytime I've got an accusative subject, I actually have to have an infinitive verb. Even though this really is not a direct or an indirect statement. So it's one giant clause functioning as a direct object. You could say, he looked out at the tree. He looked out at the apple. He looked out at the book. He looked out at those who were going through the silent grove and were turning their foot to the shore. Does that make sense?
Isn't
Yeah.
close the, oh no, just kidding, it's.
Yeah, Rachel?
So every time it's accusative subject, yeah.
If you got an accusative functioning as a subject, you're gonna have an infinitive to go with it as a verb. That's correct. Yeah.
Is whom only used for singular words or plural?
No. Here's the thing, you're gonna have to say who here.
Yeah.
You can't say whom. Even though the accusative of quem or quos, we usually translate whom. But within the red brackets, within this clause, this thing is functioning as a subject, and in English we have to say who for a subject. Okay? So it's a little bit convoluted, yes.
Yeah, that's why it kind of threw me, because quos is the accusative.
That's right.
Yet,
It's really functioning as a,
nominative.
it's functioning as a subject nominative, it's functioning as a nominative, right? And really it's relating to and implied, see, he doesn't even give you
Okay.
the demonstrative pronoun, which Latin often doesn't. Latin often does not give you the demonstrative pronoun, okay? For example, that which I saw was good. Latin will leave out the word that. And it makes it almost look like an incomplete sentence, looks like a fragment to us in English. Which I saw was good, that doesn't make sense. Because there's an implied that which I saw. For a Roman, that just kind of goes with it. And we're so used to it, say as a Latin speaker, you don't always have to put it in. Okay? So that one really was worth our time to unpack there. Does that make sense? Fortunately, we don't have that too much. He doesn't do that a whole lot. We okay? Okay. All right, so he saw all that, and so therefore he addresses them, bringing the Trojans, he addresses them prior,
Yeah, before.
before or first, basically he speaks to them first before they speak to him, with these dictis, with these words, and increpat ultra.
Reproved or chided.
Yeah, he reproves them or chides them
So
further. So he doesn't just speak to them,
kind of scolds.
he scolds them. Thank you. Good. Chide, reprove, scold. Now remember, the guy looks like what?
An old buff man.
An old buff man. He's an old buff man. He's old, but he's been juicing and so there it is. And he says, Quisquisas! Armatus qui nostra flumina tendis fareage, quid venias iam instinct, et comprende gressum. Starts off with Quisquisas. Whoever you are. They doesn't ask, who are you? He doesn't care. Whoever you are, get away from my boat. Right? Whoever you are, you qui armatus tendis ad nostra flumina. You qui, who having been armatus,
Having been equipped, armed.
you haven't been armed, you are tendis, stretching toward nostra flumina, toward our river. You're coming into my territory and you're packing heat. Whoever the heck you are, fareage. Fareage. Now this, okay. Age is what part of speech? Anybody? It's a what? Imperative, good. So is fare. And you go, but fare looks like a what?
Kind of looks like an infinitive.
Looks like an infinitive. Under what circumstances can an imperative look exactly like a present active infinitive?
Is it with those 4 verbs?
Not, well, it's with their kind.
Deponent.
Deponents. Very nice. Tattoo this on your left forearm. Vocative, singular, of deponent verbs looks like a present active infinitive. Okay?
Might be
Well,
wrapping around.
it might be a wraparound tattoo. It might be a wraparound. There you go. Vocative singular deponent verbs looks like a present active infinitive. So for examples, take an example here. We've got our good old verb arbitrari, to think. Okay? Command one person to think. Based on this what I just said.
Arbitrary.
Arbitrary. Right? Looks like an active infinitive. Looks like portare or amare or something like that. It's not, because it's coming from a deponent verb. Okay? So he gives them a double command, bang, bang. No et. Doesn't even give them the common decency of a comma in between. Just says, fare age. All right, fare is an imperative from what verb? We've actually had it a lot. Yes, fatus, which is the last part of. We've had this a lot in Virgil. Synonym for deco.
Oh, say.
But yeah, what's the verb?
So. Oh, I know. Not infatu.
It's related. For fari fatus. For fari fatus. I gotta tell you, if there's one word I would really know, it's that one. Certainly. And the reason I said it, because I don't think we've seen it that much before, but it's very common in Virgil. For fari fatus. The verb meaning to speak, right? And we get all the compounds, phos and nephos and infons and nepharios and all this kind of stuff. He says, fare.
Speak.
Speak. Age. What's ago mean? Do. Speak. Do it. Right? I mean, it's just, talk about the definition of crotchety. Just, grousing old fart. Whoever you are, you who come armed toward my shores, speak. Do it now. Quid venios. Now we move into, notice that quid is what kind of pronoun? Too bad I don't have a first-year student in here, like Jack Satrum, who can answer that question. What kind of a pronoun is quid?
Is it interrogative? Interrogative?
Yes, it is, Jack. Very good. It's an interrogative pronoun. Yes, it's an interrogative pronoun. Okay. And you watch out, McFly. All right.
No McFly has ever done anything good around here.
Yeah, darn right. I'm gonna make you do my homework.
You're a slacker.
I'm
Just
the-
like Dad.
I'm the Principal Skinner to your Marty McFly.
You do kind of look like the best.
If you didn't have any hair.
Yeah, if only you didn't have any hair.
Yes. Well, actually, I got to think about Mr. Brannigan.
Yeah.
Because he's not really quite a complete chrome dome, but I mean, he keeps it pretty
He's never had any hair.
closely cropped.
You've never had any.
He's just never had it.
You know this is being recorded, right?
Well, you know what? You know what all the bald guys say.
Tell me.
God created only a few perfect heads. The rest he covered with hair.
Ah, that's good.
Anyhow, we've got an interrogative pronoun, and venios is what mood of a verb?
Subjunctive.
Subjunctive. So we've got a what?
You know. Indirect command.
Indirect question.
Oh.
Speak. Do it now. Quid venios. Quid venios. And I'll tell you, the quid is really almost like a core here. Why are you venios extinct? Venio, why are you coming extinct?
From where you are.
From where you are. In other words, why are you coming here? You don't belong around here. Why are you coming from where you are? At, it gives him another command, comprime gressum. Something your step, comprime your step.
Press your step.
Stop your step. Check your step. Don't take a step farther.
Yes.
Okay, check yourself, son. Okay? I can tell, I can always spot people like you.
Can I
Dead
translate it?
dead gum living.
Check
You know.
yourself before you wreck yourself.
That's it. That's it.
On the AP.
That's it. That's it. You put that on the AP, see if that gets you a 5.
Come on.
Okay? He tells him, Umbrarum hic locus est. Living boy. I think he's just hacked up because it's a living person. That's what he doesn't like. You know, you're not from around here, I can tell.
That he's breaking his nails.
You know.
So
He'd say, shut up, I'm a god. So just, you know, the question doesn't even apply. That's what he'd say, he's tough. He says, hic locus est umbrarum.
This place is.
This is the place of shadows. Somni noctisque soporai. It's the place of what? Asleep. And of soporai noctis. And of sleepy night. Corpora viva ne fastigio vectare carina. He says it is nefas. It is not just not good, it is, it's really bad. Yes, it's unholy. It's against the laws of the gods to vectare, to carry corpora viva, to carry living bodies, digia carina, in the Stygian boat.
Have you ever seen, I think it's Rudolph, I think it's the claymation or doll.
Yes.
Yeah, you know the head elf? That's exactly how he talks.
Yes, yes. Well, I gotta tell you, I was thinking about, and is it the second Matrix movie or the third Matrix movie? Where, no, it's the third Matrix movie. It's the third Matrix movie where Neo encounters the little Indian girl named Sati.
Yes.
And does anybody know the third Matrix movie?
We
The Train Master. Remember?
Reloaded.
Remember in Limbo? And the Train Master? He says, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. It's that. Okay.
It's like every.
I saw that. I started watching the third one, and I was
like a
nope,
train
can't do
in
this.
for things like tickets.
Tickets, please. Yes.
Yeah,
It's like Polar Express, but without the hot chocolate.
And not really.
This is so not the Polar Express.
Just like imagine it like going to hell for a second there. I'm like,
Just-
nope.
yes.
What's the third
This
Matrix
wicked, twisted Polar Express.
Right.
You got the wrong one.
Okay, since I can't take you, you're alive. Nequero alcidain me sullaitatas euntem acepes elacu. He says, Exum laetatus. I did not what? I did not rejoice, I wasn't happy. Didn't make me happy. To acepise, acipio acipera, to accept Alcides, the grandson of Alcaius, who is, as your book tells you, Hercules. Now, he's going to refer to a couple of incidents of human life, people going to the underworld. He says, I didn't want to do it back then either. I wasn't very happy about taking that grandson of Alcaius, as he was Euntem from Eoira, as he was going on the Laku, on the lake. I didn't want to take him either. Nectasia, Heritharumque, disquam congenitat quinvicti viribus essent. I didn't want to take whom else? Nor Theseus. And, not Perseus, Pirithous. Pirithous, who's a friend of Theseus. He says, oh, quam, although They were geniti dis, syncopated for days. Although they were descended from the gods, I don't care where your family's from. I don't care if you've got a mansion on Carmel Drive. I don't care if you live along Meridian. I don't care if you're old money. I don't care who you are. Didn't want to take them either. And the fact that they were invicti viribus. The fact that they were what?
That they were famous men.
No. In fact, they were invicti. Unconquered in their viribus, not weird.
Men.
No.
They're like.
Remember this irregular noun?
Wasn't it violence? And
It's related to that, yeah. Remember, look, you got vis, no genitive, no
Unconquered in
dative,
battle.
whim, we, and in the plurals comes the R. Vires, virium, viribus, vires, viribus, which so unfortunately looks like weir, but is not. This is the word, it can be the root of violence, but is also just the basic root of force or strength, okay?